Hi there and welcome to this FlexPay webinar today, where the topic today is how to neutralize subscription losses by solving the largest source of customer churn. Wait, the largest source of customer churn. So there's more than one? Indeed there is. And today we will discuss the differences, how to identify and how to combat churn in your subscription business. Now, before we get into it, I just want to very quickly introduce myself. My name is Shane Thomas. I'm one of the senior customer success managers here at FlexPay. For the last 20 plus years, I've been working in a client success / relationship management capacity. I've lived in 5 different countries and worked in several different market verticals and industries. I really do have a passion for working with my clients and helping them achieve their business goals and taking their business to the next level. Right now, I'm particularly happy working with my current clients and helping them deal with the topic we're speaking today, and that's customer churn. So I'm super happy to have you all here. Really looking forward to sharing our knowledge and our content. I just wanted to mention also there's a Q&A box here. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to send the question or comments or feedback or anything. At the end of the presentation, I will get to those and I will answer those. So if you can wait till then, that would be great. However, if you do feel like you can't wait till the end, that's fine. Send it through. Once again, I will get that to the end. Okay. All right, so let's get into this. So, folks, times are changing. Yes. So for the last 2 years, consumers have been stuck at home, locked inside, and their spending habits have changed. And as a result of that, subscription businesses have definitely seen the benefits from this. So a lot of businesses have seen rapid growth over the last 2 years, but now we are definitely starting to see a shift. For example, January to May in 2022, inflation has grown 8.58%. Let me say that again. In the last 5 months, inflation has grown 8.58%. And this has forced a lot of consumers to make difficult, hard decisions, especially around their household budget. So this is forcing some nice-to-haves or wants to take a back seat to actual needs, and this is causing people to view subscriptions as either discretionary or unnecessary. And the knock-on effect from this is that subscription businesses are now seeing acquisition growth slow, if not stall, and customer churn is definitely increasing. So let's look at the stat here. 46 million consumers cancelled or paused their subscriptions in Q1 compared to 2021. Now, the reality is with this issue is that it's all subscription businesses that have been impacted. So it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur with a small subscription box or you're one of the big guys like Netflix. And let's look at Netflix right now. They had forecast in Q1 2022, they were going to see a growth of 1.5 million subscribers. Not only did they not hit that number, they actually lost 200,000 subscribers. And they just announced they lost another 1 million subscribers in Q2. Now, the military has a saying, adapt or die. Now, I believe nothing rings more true than that statement for subscription businesses in 2022. Okay, so let's just look at the different types of churn. So customer losses come in 2 different ways. They come through voluntary churn or involuntary churn. Now, the key to this, though, is being able to identify the difference and to have the best strategy to deal with them both. Because the fact of the matter is, if you try and reduce all of your customer churn with one program, there's a very high chance you could fail to reduce one of the largest sources of churn. So voluntary churn, what is it? Voluntary churn is essentially when a customer decides that they no longer want the service. Okay, so they've either had a bad experience with the product or service, or they just simply don't want it and they just cancel it. Or because of the impact of inflation, belts are tightening, they just can't afford to have the service anymore. So that particular all comes under the voluntary churn umbrella, if you like. Now, with involuntary churn, this occurs when payment-related issues prevent legitimate recurring payments from completing. So failed payments, or otherwise known as false declines. False declines? Yes, I'll come back to that and cover that in a second. Now, the sad reality of this is many businesses believe that customer churn is only caused by customer cancellations, or as we know now, voluntary churn. But if involuntary churn isn't recognized as a source of all churn, then all investments made in churn-related programs will really only solve half the problem. So you heard me talk about false declines a couple of seconds ago. What are false declines? Now, we need to find this out because the impact on subscription businesses is very significant. Now, if we look at the slide here, for the example, and by the way, this is Visa's own data as well. So if there's an in-person purchase, meaning a person goes into a retail store with the card, there'll be a decline rate of about 1%, which is somewhat acceptable. Now, that same card, that same person, if they go online and buy something through e-commerce, that jumps up to 15%. Now, if that becomes a recurring payment, that jumps up to 24%. How? How is this possible? What's happened here? It's the same person, same card, yet recurring payments made on subscription services experience failed payments on average 24% of the time. Visa's data also validates that 67% of failed payments are actually caused by false declines. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the root cause of involuntary churn. So let's think about this. A perfectly functioning payments ecosystem has access to perfect merchant and customer information. It makes accurate authorizations 100% of the time, approving 100% of the legitimate transactions, and declining 100% of fraudulent or unwanted transactions. But we know this, of course, is not the reality we live in. Sadly, the payments ecosystem overall has structural gaps in transparency and access to information. And because of these gaps are inherent to the ecosystem itself, the players in the ecosystem cannot solve them. And this is a huge problem. False declines globally are worth hundreds of billions of dollars of legitimate transactions that just don't occur. So let's look a little bit closer at what causes failed payments. The banks that issue credit cards incur over $30 billion per year in fraud losses. These fraud losses are created when fraudulent transactions are approved by their payment authorized systems. And then the banks are obligated to pay the merchants for the approved transactions. Now, banks, of course, they try very hard to avoid these losses. And these efforts are also the root cause of involuntary churn, because banks have programmed their fraud detection systems to aggressively identify fraud transactions and fraud risk. And as a result, they have created these false positives or decline on legitimate transactions from legitimate customers. These are what we call false declines. Now, of course, fraudulent transactions should be declined, right? But most failed payments are caused by false declines and not by payment authorization systems accurately identifying fraudulent transactions. False declines occur when the credit card authorization service makes a decision on a payment request from legitimate merchants who are simply submitting payment requests from consenting customers who have available credit who want to purchase a product or service. MasterCard's own data measures the percentage of failed payments caused by false declines at 67%. So, in fact, the ratio of declined payments caused by false declines is actually 7 times greater than decline rates for actual fraudulent transactions. Let's go over that again. The ratio of declined payments caused by false declines is 7 times greater than decline rates from actual fraudulent transactions. Now, unfortunately for subscription businesses, the rate of failed payments is the highest at this payment type, averaging 24% of all payment transactions. Now, of course, subscription businesses, any failed payment that is not resolved will result in a lost customer, and this is causing involuntary churn also. So, what do we know so far? Churn caused by payment system is not reduced by voluntary churn programs. Now that we've introduced what involuntary churn is and where it's created from, what we want to do is provide some guidance on how to reduce it thereby providing the ability to generate some significant amount of revenue that otherwise would be lost. Now, the good news about reducing involuntary churn is it can be done pretty quickly and it's easily reduced. So we're just going to look at the steps now of how to go about this. So first of all, you need to separate out customer churn created by voluntary and involuntary churn. Tracking involuntary churn takes a little bit of work, but it's not too difficult. Now, customers lost to involuntary churn can be identified by identifying those customers who recurring payment requests are declined and who became a lost customer as a result. The total economical cost of an involuntary churn must be measured, and this is calculated by the overall narrow measurement of a lost failed payment. The total cost of involuntary churn is the quantity of customers lost to failed payments times revenue earned over the number of billing cycles that would have occurred if the failed payment did not occur. And this method is crucial to fully recognize the total cost of the businesses from failed payments and to invest in proper level of resources to solve this problem. So, as we've established, the impact of failed payments on churn is significant. Now, FlexPay's own research shows that up to 48% of all customer churn is involuntary churn created by failed payment types. As we showed on the previous slide, Visa's data shows that 2/3 of all payments are caused by false declines. The total economic cost to a subscription business must factor in the total LTV of a customer that's lost. Now, this will unlock the insight that the total economical cost of involuntary churn compounds quickly when measuring the total sum of all lost billing cycles. And our analysis shows that this typically equals 25 to 50% of annual revenue for subscription businesses. So the conclusion is that the way to reduce half of your churn is to solve failed payments problem with a solution recovered by a customer of all types of payment declines. So how are you going to get started? First of all, we need to start measuring the total cost of churn created by failed payments. We recommend that all subscription businesses evaluate the available technology options that are available in the market. You need to select the best payment recovery solution for your own business. Of course, we would like to work with you and we'd like to help you through all this white noise, but being transparent, there are other companies out there and you need to select the best recovery solution for yourself and your business. Whoever you go with, you need to make sure that you can optimize your recovery rates and post-recovery retention rates. You need to ensure that the methods used don't harm the health of your merchant accounts. What this means is that some methods out there are very aggressively on how often they retry and the number of attempts, and this could cause merchant accounts to be considered high risk, which ironically leads to more failed payments down the road and can even lead to increased fees on your account. But the message out of today that you need to take is that you can't afford to do nothing. If you take anything out of today, it's that you need to take a deeper look into find a solution for you and which is best for you. Like I said, oh, and look at this. Here we go. What perfect timing. We've got a FlexPay slide. So the question must be asked, why are we so passionate about decline recovery? It's very simple. We used to be merchants too. We were actually a consulting company that had our own issues with false declines every month. We started looking into this a little bit deeper and we found a way to fix our own problem. And this is exactly how FlexPay was born. So when we realized that this wasn't just us suffering from this problem, this is when we took it to market and started to share with other subscription businesses suffering the same problem. Now, where we differ a little bit from what else is available in the marketplace is our AI looks at customers on an individual basis. We look at over 100 different data points, and the machine learning model chooses which particular date and time has the best opportunity of proving, which is unlike rules-based stunning where they will try all their customers on the 1st of the month, or they try all their customers on the 15th of the month, or if the 1st of the month falls on a Sunday, they'll try the previous Friday. We look at every single individual customer on a case-by-case basis, and this is why we're having so much more success. Now, FlexPay is not only a more intelligent way of going about recovery, but we know and we understand the exact pain points that you are going through because we've been there as well. And this is why we enjoy working with subscription businesses so much, is because we know what you've been through, we know what you're going through, and we also know what we can do to help you. Now, I'm just going to give you a quick example of one of our clients. This happens to be one of my clients, actually. So this subscription company had around 15% failed payment rate. Now, we asked them to send us their declines after the first billing attempt failure, which is super important. Now, after 5 months of using FlexPay's recovery solution, what did they have? They had 50% recovery of failed payments, a cumulative revenue earned from recovered customers that increased overall revenue by 26%, and they had a 90% ROI, which is outstanding. So let's quickly cover everything that we've been through today. Let's summarize. So in 2022, we're seeing a shift. The economic environment has slowed new customer growth. It's increased voluntary churn. Involuntary churn is caused by payment issues, but there are solutions and technologies available right now to fix this. It is important that you implement new tracking and reporting so you can measure the full cost of failed payments and the total LV of recovered customers. You also need to deploy a failed payment recovery solution, working with a company that understands your pain and has the technology to assist in the highest performing recovery, which will add more revenue to your bottom line, a higher ROI, and this will be better than any other investment that you can make. So next steps, schedule an involuntary churn consultation with one of our team. You will see here this will include instructions on how to calculate involuntary churn. You will have a forecast of the compounded revenue losses caused by involuntary churn, an annual recovered revenue forecast, and a payment tech stack audit, and we'll review integration requirements as well. Now, I'm just going to flip to this next slide here. If you would like to book a consultation now, simply scan the QR code, and you'll be able to book that straight away. So let's come to the point now where I'm just going to look at a few questions here. Oh, there's a few come through here. Brilliant. So I'm just going to leave that slide there. You can scan that code and get onto booking a consultation now. But let's jump into covering a few of these questions here. Okay, so what have we got here? This is from Glenn. Glenn says, how does FlexPay differ from our normal dunning process? Okay, that's a great question. Glenn, I apologize. I don't know exactly what your dunning process is. However, where we differ from the majority, and I think I covered this a little bit earlier, is that we look at customers on an individual basis. We look at over 100 different data points. So we look at the issuing bank, where they're located in the country, and obviously a lot more. And the AI basically makes a decision on the best time it believes it's going to have an approval, and will schedule that particular retry on that particular day. So Glenn, you and I, we could be with the same company. We both have a decline, but you might be scheduled on a Friday at 4 p.m. My decline will be scheduled to retry on a Saturday at 3 p.m. as well. So it really depends on all these different data points, and this is what makes us a little bit different from a lot of the other companies that are out there. What else have we got here? How often does FlexPay try transactions to get them to approve? Okay, this is from Susan. So once again, the question is, how often does FlexPay try transactions to get them to approve? That's a great question. So FlexPay, we work on a 30-day window. So when we receive the initial decline from the merchant, we have 30 days to go about recovery on that particular decline. We can try up to 11 times in that 30-day window. However, the FlexPay average right now is around about 3.5 times. And in that 3.5 times, one of two things will happen. Either we will get an approval, or the machine learning model will deem the decline unrecoverable. So we will stop pursuing that particular decline. Now, that's a benefit as well, because we spoke earlier about potential other platforms out there that are very, very aggressive and retrying too much. if the machine learning model decides that there's no point of going after this particular decline, we will stop, because again, we're merchants. We know the severity around about merchant account health. So there's no point of just retrying a decline for the sake of retrying. So this is why we say that, we can try up to 11 times, but the average right now is 3.5. Do we ever get up to 11 times? Yes, we do. Do we ever get below 3.5 times? Yes, we do. But again, 3.5 is the average. And to just recover that question, 30-day window, we will try or can try up to 11 times. Okay, one other question here. This one. Why shouldn't we retry all transactions? This is a really good question as well. So this is from Mark. He says here, why shouldn't we retry all our transactions before sending them to FlexPay? That's a really good question, actually. So a credit card decline has a shelf life. If you've tried your credit cards 5 or 6 times before you send it to us, let me back up a bit. So we would do better if you had a bunch of declines that were, let's say, a week old, and you tried them 5 times already, then sent them to us, and you had another batch of declines that were a month old that you only tried once. We would actually perform better on the declines that you only tried once that were a month old. The reason being is, as soon as we can get them into the AI, and remember, we've been doing this for 7 years now, so the amount of transactions that we have analyzed in that time is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So the machine learning model has got a really good idea of when to place these particular retries. And if they've already been tried 5 or 6 times from a merchant, then that brings down our opportunity of getting a quick recovery. So we always say to our clients, get us your fresh declines as soon as possible. Let's get them in the 30-day window, and let's get those declines approving in that 30 days. So a lot quicker than it would be if you'd been thrashing for 5 days. So I hope that answers your question. But listen, I'm just looking at the time here. We're getting close to time. So there are other few questions that I will have answered after the call. If you've got other questions coming in, keep sending them. We'll get them answered for you. I'm just going to make sure that, yes, that slide's still up, so you can still book your consultation. If you've got any further questions or anything, please get them through. I just really want to thank everyone for joining today. I hope you've got something out of this, and really, if you get anything out of this conversation today, please look into a payment recovery platform of some sort. You need to do this. It's imperative. You've seen that the client is shifting, and this is something that you need to look at now. My name is Shane Thomas. I'm really glad that you guys joined today. Have a great day, and hope to work with you folks soon. Thanks very much. Bye.